From the softball complex at the beautiful Lake Poway Recreational Area in Southern California, it's Bob Campbell's The Art of Hitting Slow Pitch Softball. Recognized as one of the country's top hitting instructors and teacher of champions, Bob Campbell is highly sought after to conduct clinics both around the country and around the world. The concepts Bob teaches have helped hundreds of players to improve their swings and are based on over 25 years of success in the widely popular sport of slow-pitch softball. A three-time All-American, Bob has played and coached on 4 national championship teams. Joining Bob today are Major League All-Star Mike Marshall. Mike played on one of Bob's national championship Bruin teams before being drafted to play for the Los Angeles Dodgers. And Scott Campbell, known as a consistent hitter with both power and finesse. Scott played on 2 national championship Bruin teams and is an All-American player in his own right. Sports journalist Karen Drollinger is an outstanding athlete in several sports and a former semi-pro softball player. Also appearing are former Bruin Frank May and pitcher Bob Klatt. It looks like the team is all warmed up and ready to begin the art of hitting slow-pitch softball. And here's your instructor, Bob Campbell.
Hello, I'm Bob Campbell. I'm so glad you could join us for this instructional on the art of hitting the slow-pitch softball. I've been playing for a lot of years, and I love the game just as much now as I ever did. It's really a game you can enjoy your whole life, and I believe the more you know about it, the more you'll enjoy it. This tape is designed to improve your technique to become a polished, well-rounded hitter. If you learn and perfect the concepts we're about to cover, I firmly believe you will increase not only your batting average, but also your value to the team and your own love for the game of softball. To start off, I want to talk about choosing the right bat. There's 2 things that are very important. Number 1, pick a bat that's made out of the new aircraft or high-tech aluminums. These bats are more resilient and the ball will come off the bat much quicker. And number 2, take a bat in an area and swing it, and make sure you can achieve a fluid, smooth swing. A lot of players today use a bat that's too heavy for them. If the bat's dragging in your hand, you're using a bat that's too heavy for you. So make sure that you can achieve a fluid, smooth swing. And now for a look at how to properly hold the bat you choose. It's extremely difficult to hit the ball squarely if you don't have a good grip on the bat. A proper grip allows the wrist and hands to work together, maximizing both your power and control. You might have been taught that knuckles need to line up like this. I don't believe this is necessarily true. Hands come in all different sizes. If the knuckles don't line up exactly, it's okay. The most important thing here is that the grip feels comfortable. Use a firm grip, but not too tight. While waiting for the pitch, if you squeeze a bat, it will cause muscle tension, and that's something you don't need, especially here in your shoulders. Tension burns energy, so when the pitch finally comes, you will have lost valuable strength, and a weak swing will result. A grip that is too tight will also inhibit the wrists and hands from working smoothly through the point of contact. In fact, you'll actually see many pros wiggle their fingers a little bit, more or less to relax the hands. Here's another thing that will inhibit your swing. Don't spread your hands apart. You know, a lot of women softball players think that if they put their hands in this position, that things are going to work. They don't. Hands work best as a unit when they are together. Here's something you might want to try. It's called extended length. I hook my little finger over the knob of the bat. As you know, softball bats cannot exceed 34 inches in length. And this extended length gives me a little more leverage. Extra leverage means more power. Now, after trying this, if you feel like it hurts your ability to control the bat as you swing, don't use it. Extended length may not be for everyone. Again, our objective is to achieve a comfortable grip that gives us control and a smooth swing. Becoming a consistent hitter requires good eye contact. How squarely you hit the ball depends greatly on your ability to follow the ball not only into the hitting zone, but right to point of contact. And good eye contact requires an understanding of the dominant eye. Now we're going to talk about dominant eye. I'm going to ask Karen to take this and pretend it's a telescope and look through it. Notice that she went to the left eye, which means her dominant eye is her left eye. When I hold it up, I automatically go to my right eye, which means my dominant eye is the right eye. Let me explain why that's important. When facing the pitcher, we need to focus both eyes. Now, when the pitch comes, if our weak eye is the left eye or the front eye, and if we get in this position, we're never going to make good contact. We need to make sure that the dominant eye is focused in on the ball so that we can make good contact. When talking about head position, it's also very important to keep the front shoulder at the pitcher. And notice the head position. Both eyes are focused in on the ball and the head is still. As the ball comes in, notice that both eyes are on the ball. The head remains still and the eyes follow the ball all the way to point of contact. You must keep your head still in order to maintain eye contact. To help you get a feel for this, think of a stake passing through your head and into the ground. This stake is there to hold your head in place. As you can see here, the imaginary stake doesn't allow Scott's head to move. His head holds the proper position throughout the swing, and Scott maintains excellent eye contact as he follows the ball right to the bat. If you're holding your head properly, you will swing from shoulder to shoulder. Watch this. I'm waiting for the ball. My head is turned so I can focus with both eyes. My head is straight and in the proper position. And note, my chin is over the lead shoulder. And I swing, my chin goes from the lead shoulder to the opposite shoulder. This is a good way to check yourself. If your head stays down, the chin will start over the lead shoulder and end over the trail shoulder. Remembering this will also keep you from looking up too soon. What do most players like to do? They immediately like to look up and see where the ball's going, which can destroy eye contact when meeting the ball. Disciplining yourself to swing from shoulder to shoulder assures good head position and eye contact throughout the swing. On this shot, notice Karen doesn't look up until after point of contact. As the pitch comes in, she keeps both eyes focused in on the ball and the head is still. Notice she has both eyes on the ball at point of contact. Then as she takes her step toward first, her head comes up to follow the ball. I'm going to talk about the stride next, because this motion is really the first motion you make toward the ball. The placement of this lead foot affects everything that follows in the swing. And in order to have a proper stride, you have to begin with the proper stance. The basic stance ought to be short and slightly closed. The width of the stance should not be any wider than the width of your shoulders. Let me stress the importance of proper balance. Balance is the foundation that makes all things possible in a swing. We never want to be on our toes or we're going to be off balance. Don't be a ballerina. And we don't want to be on our heels or again we're off balance and we're going to be bailing out, especially on inside pitches. We want to be on the balls of our feet. Get comfortable in your stance. Soften the knees and get into a stance that's tension-free. Develop a workable stance. For instance, some players like to stand fairly straight. Some prefer to bend over more. Do whatever works for you to achieve comfort and balance. However, I do have one guideline. While in your stance, your chest should line up with your knees. A good stride is a stride that's under control. But what's the tendency when we really want to powder the ball? This move. Trying to muscle or overpower the ball will cause you to overstride, which locks out the hips and prevents you from making a good pass at the ball. This breaks down technique and results in a weak swing. When you take your step, place the outside of the lead foot toward the pitcher. This is important because if the lead foot opens up, it will cause a chain reaction. When the foot opens up, the hips open up, followed by the shoulder and the head. That's why I emphasize the importance of making that step toward the ball a good one. When you swing, think slow feet, fast hands. By that I mean, in slow pitch softball, when you make your move toward the pitcher, you have plenty of time. So when you take your stride, think slow feet, fast hands. A good stride begins with a short, balanced, comfortable stance. Then no matter how hard you want to hit the ball, you must keep your stride under control. And remember, hips remain closed after the stride until the swing. The stride is the first motion toward the ball, and the proper placement of the lead foot will ensure proper motion throughout the hitting system, which is the focus of our next segment. The art of hitting is truly a network of body parts in motion, all working together to achieve a fluid, smooth swing. The hitting system is like any other system. Take a bicycle, for example. It starts with the pedals, which turn the sprockets, which drive the chain, which sets the wheels in motion. If one part breaks down, the whole system breaks down. As I talk about the hitting system, remember that all parts of the swing are interconnected and essential to the system. To open our look at the hitting system, we'll begin with the upper body swing mechanics. That is, the role of the wrists, arms, and shoulders. I'm going to start with the front shoulder. This shoulder is crucial in making a correct approach to the softball. You probably heard since you were a little kid to keep the shoulder in. Let me demonstrate what that really means. Coming off the ball makes it difficult to hit the outside pitch. Coming off the ball means that you're pulling your shoulder here, and you're basically going to miss the ball. Now, the proper approach is to drive the front shoulder about 3 or 4 inches in this position, and then make your approach at the ball. And notice the bat hits the ball on the sweet part. Mike makes an excellent approach here. He starts with the front shoulder at the pitcher. As the ball comes in, he turns or drives that shoulder down toward the ball about 3 or 4 inches, assuring solid contact, even on an outside pitch. For the average player, improper use of the back shoulder is a major cause of breaking down the hitting system. The back shoulder basically ought to remain on top of the front shoulder, like this. Here's what some hitters like to do to get some extra distance on the ball. They tend to drop the back shoulder in hopes of giving the ball some lift. Most of the time, this will result in easy pop-up or fly-out. Dropping the shoulder reduces power, and it breaks down technique. In some situations, you might need to drop the back shoulder slightly before the swing, like a sacrifice fly to score a key run. But don't lose the good mechanics and maintain proper head position. It's important to remember here that the guy who weighs 250 pounds and up can get away with dropping the back shoulder and still knock the ball out of the park because of the upper body strength. But a good hitter who keeps the back shoulder on top can hit the ball harder and farther than the guy who drops his back shoulder. And remember, a serious drop in the back shoulder can be disastrous to the hitting system.
Notice that Mike's back shoulder begins on top of the front shoulder before the swing. During the swing, the back shoulder doesn't drop down, and his shoulders keep a beautiful position as he comes into the ball. At point of contact, the back shoulder will drop slightly. That's okay if you begin with the proper position.
The next concept I want to demonstrate is one of the most vital to an effective swing. It's called holding the angle. The angle is formed by the bottom hand furthest from the body, top hand closest to the body, and the barrel of the bat between the head and the hands. This is the angle you want to achieve, and this is the power position you want to maintain before you release into the ball. If you lose this angle, there is no way to readjust your hands without destroying fluid motion. The key here is holding the angle during the stride. The releasing of the wrist and the stride are not simultaneous. If you hold the angle during the stride, your chances of success go way up.
Once again, we need to hold the angle until after the stride is completed.
Sometimes you'll see a hitter who likes to drop his hands and then try to recover. I call these guys Larry the Loopers. He may get a hole in one once in a while, but he'll never develop any consistency as a hitter.
Watch as Scott demonstrates looping. Scott has started in a poor position with the back shoulder down. As he takes his stride, notice he drops his hands. In order to recover from this position, he has to loop. The path of the bat is so low, it ends up in a loop. So far, we've covered the swing mechanics of keeping the front shoulder at the pitcher, keeping the back shoulder on top, and holding the angle during the stride. When all these are achieved, you're maximizing the power potential of a good swing.
To complete our look at upper body functions in the hitting system, let's talk about the application of kinetic energy. Kinetic energy is defined as energy in motion. For this application, we're talking about energy supplied by a bat in motion. Kinetic energy is at its maximum efficiency and potential when it travels in a straight line. We're talking about a smooth, curvilinear motion like this. Erratic motion in a swing slows down bat speed. Anytime you're in this position, or we get in this type of a position, any erratic move in this particular area is going to slow down kinetic energy. There's no way that you can have good bat speed or maximize kinetic energy as you hit the ball, because you've got to recover and you're losing the straight line. So we want to maximize kinetic energy into the ball by developing a consistent straight line, a swing that is grooved the same way every time.
Watch Mike here as he keeps the straight line that allows maximum bat speed.
Now, a common way that the straight line motion is defeated is by rolling over the wrist too soon. Rolling over the wrist destroys bat speed, power, and accuracy.
Watch Scott demonstrate the straight line motion. The arms are extended, maximum bat speed is achieved, and the wrists roll over after point of contact, not before. Here's a great angle of Mike. Watch how he achieves maximum kinetic energy through releasing the wrists after point of contact.
Obviously, the upper body is responsible for much of the power going into the hitting system. But any big hitter will tell you that the major power supply to the hitting system comes from the lower body. Utilizing the power is important because unlike baseball and fast-pitch softball, a slow-pitch softball has very little speed. Therefore, it's up to the hitter to generate all the momentum of the ball coming off the bat. So learn to maximize your power potential by using the lower body. Also, it's important to note that the lower body mechanics all work in synchronization with the upper body. A good hitting system is built around a solid center core. Here's what I mean by that. The center core is the trunk of the body. That is from here to here. The power of the core is keyed by the abdominal muscles. To generate power, turn back the center core to where you feel those abdominal muscles just stretching or torquing a bit. This gives you the feeling of being coiled and ready to release. This backward motion will create a stronger forward motion.
Watch Mike here as he turns back the center core to generate greater power. At point of contact, he releases and throws his belly button at the pitcher.
From this position, I have very little momentum when I swing.
Here Karen demonstrates trying to swing without coiling the center core. The result is a weak swing, lacking in power.
But if I turn back here, I can generate much more power.
Here's an illustration to help you remember this. When pulling back a bowstring, you're storing up potential energy. If you release from here, the arrow won't go very far. As you pull farther back, the potential energy increases, and so does the kinetic energy when the arrow is released. You'll see the same thing happen in Scott's swing. He's turning back, using the abdominals, and the center core is storing up potential energy, just like pulling back a bow. Notice Scott's eyes are still fixed on the ball. He hasn't turned back so far that he loses focus with both eyes. Now Scott's forward swing has tremendous power as the potential energy is released.
The rotation of the hips is a great source of power for the hitting system. And I want to emphasize here the importance of not overstriding. If I step too far, I lose the mobility in my hips and I rob the system of all that power. The front shoulder needs to point at the pitcher. This will also promote good hip rotation.
It's very important that the hips are closed after you finish the stride. This enables you to rotate the hips with the swing and generate greater power. Notice that when Mike finishes the swing, he shifted his weight to the front foot.
Your weight shift begins on the trail foot. Sometime watch George Brett. He's the master at loading up power in the trail foot, so it's ready to spring into action. As you swing, your weight shifts to the front foot. You want to hit against the front foot, not on top of it. Anytime the front shoulder gets ahead of the front hip, you're going to lose power.
As I'm waiting for the ball, my weight is on the trail side. My trail foot is loaded up and ready. During the swing, my weight transfers to the front side, and I hit against the front foot, not on top of it.
Now, let's review the entire hitting system and examine it as a whole. Remember, every part of the system must be synchronized with the whole. If you leave something out, you're robbing the system.
Mike begins with a balanced, comfortable stance with good head discipline. Both eyes are focused on the pitcher, and the head is still. The front shoulder is also at the pitcher. The back shoulder is on top, and notice, the lead elbow is lined up with the belly button, and he's holding the angle. As Mike loads up power in his back foot, he takes a controlled stride, still holding the angle, driving his front shoulder down toward the ball. He has stretched the abdominals and is now coiled and ready to release. His hips rotate as he shifts the weight against the front foot, and he keeps the straight line for a smooth, fluid swing. Both eyes follow the ball to point of contact and then the wrist release. Notice Mike's excellent extension and follow-through. The art of hitting is truly a network of body parts in motion all working together to achieve a fluid, smooth swing.
If you effectively apply the component parts of a good swing, you will hit the ball harder and farther. Even an old guy like me occasionally can take one downtown. Downtown. Now that we've talked about the mechanics of becoming a good contact hitter, I want to talk about making those hits in a game situation. But when you talk about hitting strategy, you have to begin with pre-game preparation. Before an important game, I try to get alone for some mental preparation. This should be a quiet time where you can concentrate on your game. I like to practice what's called the art of visualization. I relax my body and I mentally visualize a relaxed, smooth, and an effective swing in a game situation. This is also a good time to check your motives going into the game. Remember, it's only a game. You want to win, but concentrate on doing your best and giving your best. Having a pregame quiet time allows you to go into the game confident because you're mentally set and thinking of your best swing going into the game. Use your time in the on-deck circle wisely, and above all, remain loose while waiting for your turn at bat. This is the Swing Master. A couple years ago, donuts were outlawed in softball. The Swing Master warm-up bat is a great training aid in the on-deck circle to help you warm up properly. Let me demonstrate. Take the bat in this fashion and just kind of loosen up. Then you might want to warm up the wrists a little bit and take a couple of slow cuts. And let me emphasize slow cuts. If you swing a warm-up bat too fast, muscle memory takes over, and you're going to be ahead of the ball when you're swinging at the plate. So remember, slow cuts in the on-deck circle. Proper use of the Swing Master will enable you to hit the ball harder and farther. Your concentration must remain focused on the game while on deck. Tune into the softball and tune out distractions. Then use the art of visualization once again and repeatedly visualize yourself hitting against the pitcher. That way, when you step into the box, the hitting system will go into motion automatically. Waiting on deck is also a time for examining the defense. Look for the weaknesses, and as you're watching, practice holding your head still by moving only with your eyes, something like this. If you're moving your head all around like this, you will lose concentration, and you'll take that bad habit into the box with you. Make your time in the on-deck circle count. Get focused and mentally prepared.
When you finally step into the box, it's important to remain relaxed and tension-free.
For our next segment, we're going to be talking about relaxation at the plate. Mike, most games you're playing in front of 40,000 people or more. How do you relax at the plate?
Well, Bob, I think that both in baseball and softball, I think that the situation dictates relaxation. If you're concentrating on the situation of the game, the runners you have on base, how the pitcher's going to try to pitch you, where the infielders are defending you, I think that you have such concentration that you can block off all the elements. Get into the box, know what you want to do in that situation, and hopefully the concentration will override all the elements.
Every major league player has his own rhythm and movement. How do you create your rhythm and movement?
What I like to do is when I'm in the batter's box getting ready to hit the pitch, I like soft movement, both in my hands and my feet. Total movement at all times. As the pitcher begins preparation to deliver the ball, I then will move into the hitting position and stay locked in with the left shoulder down at all times. The ball is in the air, and I will try to keep this left side down. That'll bring the bat into the hitting position, and hopefully a line drive occurs.
Proper approach, driving the left shoulder 3 or 4 inches down toward the ball.
Exactly. When whatever your left shoulder does, your head is going to do. Your left shoulder pulls out, your head comes with it, and you're going to hit a lot of ground balls and miss the ball. You drive the shoulder down and through the pitch, your head follows, your eyes stay on the ball, and like I said, I hope we hit that line drive into center field somewhere.
Mike, what are some of the more unusual distractions at the plate?
Well, even though you're trying to stay relaxed in the batter's box, you have to take into consideration the catcher behind the plate. And if they're having a good ball game, take, for example, Gary Carter of the New York Mets. He likes to ask you how your family's doing and how your golf game's going, and you have to try to block that out. Also, behind second base there, we have a lot of large umpires in the National League. And if they start moving around back there, it's about 300 pounds distracting you as the pitcher's winding up. But for the most part, you can keep your concentration and block those things out.
You played softball with us for a couple years before you went with the Dodgers. Is there anything that you learned from slow pitch softball that's helped you in the major leagues?
Well, I think in softball, you learn to use your whole body. In baseball, it's below the belt. I think the hips and the legs are so important in baseball. Whereas in softball, I use the upper body as well as the lower body to drive the ball to the opposite field. When the pitch was inside, I could use the whole body and not just the lower half to drive the softball.
Thanks, Mike. When you step into the box, it's time for all that preparation to pay off. But in the midst of the excitement of the game, it's important not to lose your concentration or your relaxation. Remember, tension burns energy. No matter what the game situation is, the goal is always a tension-free swing. And rhythm and movement in the box can keep you relaxed. Every hitter creates his own rhythm and movement. For example, notice when I'm in the box. My front foot and my hands are my way of relaxing. Scotty likes to use bat movement for his way to relax at the plate. Remember what Mike said. His way of relaxing at the plate is by constant movement. This helps you relax and get ready to swing. Remember, too, rhythm maintains balance. It's sort of a quiet time before you pull the trigger. And the trigger means to explode into the ball. A positive move toward the pitcher with that front shoulder in line. And remember, we don't want tension in that front shoulder. Proper breathing helps reduce tension. And at point of contact, you want to be exhaling.
Don't get set in the box until the pitcher is by the mound. We need to focus in on his head or hat, not the ball or his antics. We don't want to lose concentration with a lot of extra eye and head movement. So don't pick up the ball until the pitcher releases it. Then keep your head still and track the ball with your eyes only. In slow pitch softball, there is plenty of time to follow the ball with your eyes. But again, as you track the ball, use your eyes only. Don't move your head as you follow the ball into the hitting zone. In game situations, you're often required to hit to a specific part of the field in order to advance a runner. So it's important to understand the points of contact. And a great way to practice them is using a hitting tee. The point of contact for hitting the left field is off the left front shoulder, anywhere in this particular area. And it's important to note that we want to make contact first before we roll over the wrist.
because this way you're going to maximize your leverage. If you turn over too soon, you're going to hit a ball into the dirt. The point of contact for hitting the center field is off the belly button, anywhere in this particular area. We can maximize going up the middle and have that leverage by hitting at this point of contact. If you also get a ball that's a little inside of the plate, you can adjust your feet a little bit in the box and still be able to get into position and hit the ball up the middle. But again, remember, at point of contact, we want to hit the ball and then turn over. The point of contact for hitting the ball to the opposite field is to hit off the back shoulder, hit off the back foot, and don't roll over the top hand. Hitting off the back foot is being in this position and not shifting the weight forward. We want the weight on the back foot. And we want to hit off the back shoulder, and we don't want to roll over the top hand.
In all game situations, the hitter must know his comfort zone in order to protect the strike zone. Some players have longer arms, so they have a bigger zone. Players with shorter arms have to stand closer to the plate. Otherwise, they have a tendency to pull a ball that's out of their zone. They break the straight line and lose power. And therefore, the result is an easy out. Watch as Mike demonstrates what can happen when you try to pull a ball that's outside your zone. The result is a one-hopper in the infield. So know your zone. With a two-strike count, you can't take a chance on a close call by the umpire. You may have to swing at a close or even a bad pitch. An effective way to hit a short pitch without lunging or reaching is to use the stutter step. To accomplish the stutter step, you take a small crossover step with the back foot and then take your normal stride. It's very important to stay in balance between the step and the swing. Be careful not to turn back so far that you can't keep both eyes on the ball. And remember, you need to hold the angle until after you stride. Being able to handle a high pitch that could be a close call is very important too. If it's outside, take it off the back shoulder to the opposite field. But if it's high and inside, use the tomahawk. All you do is raise the hands, remember to hold the angle, and hit down and through the ball. Next, I want to talk about the three don'ts. The three most common errors I see in slow pitch softball. Number one, don't overstride. Trying to muscle or overpower the ball will cause you to overstride. Technique's going to break down, and it's going to result in an easy out. Number two, don't lunge or reach for the ball. Anytime that the front shoulder gets ahead of the front hip, you're off balance. Again, technique breaks down, and it's going to result in an easy out. And number three, don't take your eye off the ball. Remember, focus in on the pitcher, left shoulder at the pitcher, and off this shoulder right here. And when the pitch comes, we watch the ball all the way to contact, and chin goes from the front shoulder to the trail shoulder. That's your reminder that you're watching the ball all the way to contact. Any one of these will destroy the hitting system every time. Let me give you a tip. It's called tap the plate. It's kind of a reminder to zero in on what's important to you. When you're at bat, you really can't think about everything that we've covered in this tape. And that's why it's so important to practice a lot and develop a smooth, consistent swing. So when you step in the box, the hitting system takes over automatically. The most important advice I can give you is always swing within yourself. Don't try to get more out of your swing than the system can provide. Good athletes learn to make the most of their God-given abilities. They try to maximize those abilities, not play beyond them.
A good swing is always a fluid, smooth swing. But you also need to swing this bat aggressively and with authority. And the more you practice your swing, the more authority you'll have in hitting.
Let me encourage you to watch this tape several times over to reinforce the proper mechanics we've covered. Practice them in front of a mirror. Have a friend look at your swing. Or best of all, run a video camera and watch yourself on tape. So in conclusion, if you develop a sound groove swing and never lapse into one of the three don'ts, I really believe you're going to have a lot of success as a hitter. Have a great time on the field, and I'll be looking for you the next time you round third.